In the Rainsdown Players, you play through the game as one of two main characters you can hot swap between, depending on where you are on the map, trying to revive a rundown theater by putting on various plays. How you produce the plays is one of the more interesting mechanics. You pick a different card, which represents your ideas and inspiration, for the different plot points of the play. You have the subject, the location, the purpose, the encounter, and the outcome. You can either try and appease the audience by catering to their desires and base primal needs, or you can go all in on a weird path like some sort of avant-garde French film. When you act out the play, you have to be on your toes. The audience will throw things at you, even if they like you. One must suffer for their art. Unfortunately, you don't start the game with all the cards. You have to go and explore and complete different tasks and things like that to unlock more of them. And the more you unlock, the larger your audience becomes. This is where the game can be kind of hit or miss. A lot of these are behind minigames, and a lot of the game is minigames. Some people love them, while others grow tired of them quite quickly, much like a 50-turn game of Mario Party. Never again. But honestly, a ton of minigames isn't really a turn-off for me. It can be a little boring and tiresome after a while, but that's not my major complaint about the game. You see, my main complaint is the time. The game has a clock, and it's always running. Talking to NPCs? Time's a ticking. Doing a minigame? Time's a ticking. Putting on a play? Yep, time's a ticking. To me, it made me feel rushed as I tried to unlock and do all the different things in the game, and there are a lot of different things to do all at once. And I'll get to that in a second. The only good thing about this is that the time would only change over when you left a room. So say you were in one area during, say, midday, you do whatever you need to do in there, and if you leave, it's suddenly night. That's okay. At least you can get what you need done in that room, but if you want to do multiple other things, you're kinda SOL. Not to keep harping on all the negatives of the game, but the UI was another thing I found infinitely frustrating. There's no menu. Hitting escape immediately brings you back to the main menu. Thankfully, the game has a autosave for certain points, but there's no indication of when that autosave happens or what sort of thing triggers it. Not to mention that hitting X brings up your little HUD that shows your gold and the time, but then it goes away almost immediately. It doesn't stay very long. Also, navigating through the other in-game menus, such as, okay, there's an ideas book you can find eventually. And in that, it shows the different people of the town and their preferences for what sort of plays they want. You talk to the person, they're added to the book, and if you have the cards available, those little sections will be filled in, but they won't be unlocked. It costs 20 gold each to unlock what that person wants to see in a play. The problem is, you can't select what you want to unlock when you want to unlock it. As you're navigating that book, you hit the confirm button, and one of those things, seemingly at random, will unlock if you can buy one. And the final, and what I kind of call the trifecta of bad for this game, it lacks direction, at least a true sense of direction. There is, of course, the end game, which is build back the theater. Become famous, actors and playwrights and whatnot. The problem is, the game is very open-ended, as where you can do almost anything you want at any time, but you have to do it at certain times of the day, which again goes back to the timer, which is very annoying to play against, I will be perfectly honest. I really wish instead of an actual in-game timer, it was more of an event timer, like say you do something in the day and the day passes, or you do some sort of story event and the day passes, that sort of thing. But the fact that the game lacks any clear sense of direction of there's no quest log even that tells you, hey, you've done this, or the only real unlock thing is the card section and the ideas book. And those don't really give any sense of direction either. It's just basically, hey, here's a bunch of ideas, go out and find them. How? If it gave just a little bit more direction, I think it'd be a much more polished and solid kind of game. I felt a little aimless as I was playing, to be perfectly honest. While I've been doing a lot of talking about the negative aspects of this game, it's mostly from a place of frustration. There is good to this game. Okay, look at it this way. One of my favorite things of a game is the story. This game's got a good story, it's got interesting and humorous characters that actually make me want to play more to find out what's going on. Especially since it has a really good dash of mystery to it as well. Not to mention that the minigames, they're fun. I'm not gonna lie. I like minigames. I just don't know if a whole game can be built around them, you know? And while I complained about the whole open world and directionless bit, there's still a lot, and I mean a lot to do in this game. So while you feel kind of rushed trying to do certain things, you're always going to get something done. So there's always going to be at least a little bit of progression each day. Since we're already talking about the good things, we can segue nicely into the good things highlights. I like that there were a lot of different minigames and that they were explained so that they were, there's no confusion over what you were supposed to do or what was expected of you. The story is very interesting, had a lot of humor to it, and is very snappy writing. A little bit of mystery too, which kept me, engaged and interested. I like that a lot. And while I may have complained a little bit about how open-ended the game was, there's a lot to do here. You're never going to find a point where you're just wandering around not doing anything. You're going to have something to do at some point. A few of the points where your mileage may vary. I personally felt that the character moved a bit too slow, especially for a game with such a strict timer. Gold was also a bit harder to come by. You had to do the plays and minigames and whatnot to earn it, but one particular minigame I think I only earned like 9 gold, and some of the costumes in the game cost upwards of 250 gold. So it felt a little bit, I don't know, a bit of artificial padding, but not quite. Also, what people want to see done for a play can be a bit hit or miss depending on how you interpret it. Even the ideas book doesn't really give you a clear way of how to put those cards in order, so you have to talk to that person and kind of interpret what they want to see. Again, that can be kind of hit or miss, mostly because you may interpret it wrong and not understand why you're not getting that person's little, like up. And we circle back around to the bad. I don't like the timer, at least not in the way it's implemented in the game. I felt far too rushed once I realized things were on a timer, and that certain things can only be done at certain times of the day. The UI is clunky, and that's being kind. It was unintuitive aside from the minigames, and made navigating any menus that you actually did interact with in the game very difficult and unwieldy. And finally, the game lacks any true direction. Like I said several times, I felt very aimless playing this. While there is an end game, how to get there is very muddy, and it's almost a little too open for the player to find. Ultimately, what's my verdict? I like the game, and I want to recommend it. In fact, I do recommend it. There's a lot in this game that a lot of people are going to enjoy. But there's a lot in this game that a lot of people are going to be annoyed or put off by. I feel if it was a little less open-ended, or if there was a concise sort of journal or quest log that showed you, at least gave you a little push or nudge in the right direction, it wouldn't feel so aimless. Not to mention that the UI is really super clunky. I'm gonna keep saying that. I don't like the UI or the fact that when you hit escape, it instantly ends the game. I hate games that do that. Don't be a game that I hate, please. I like this. It's got heart. It's got a lot of interesting and cool things to it. I think it's worth the money. Give it a try, see if you agree or not. I'm Hawk Zombie. Thanks for listening. There we have it, folks. Another review in the bag. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. If you really liked it, then throw me a sub on Twitch or join up to my Patreon account. Links are below.